Exactly.
Thanks.
Hi, Mr. Timo, you're welcome.
Yeah, merci beaucoup. Thanks, Sami, for inviting me for this speech with your students. So I salute everyone. I'm sorry, as you said, I'm sorry about my English. I hope I'll make myself understand by all of you guys. Today, as we discussed with Sami, I'd like to discuss about the importance of being multilingual. I know it can sound very surprising coming from someone who's French, but when you work in this industry of sport and football and media, obviously you need to be able to communicate with colleagues, with institutions, with all kind of actors in this business of football. This is a key to me, and I would like to start with the memories when I started my career back in the early 90s. A few days ago, you had a guest, Mark Gleason. He's my oldest friend in this business, and back in 1992, I moved to South Africa so that I would be able, to have a big experience. At that time, South Africa was back in African football and in the world football, and that was very interesting for me as a young journalist to cover African football and being based in South Africa for their return. So when I arrived, you can imagine I was not able to communicate perfectly, and I was not fluent. I had to work a lot. And this is the first point. When you learn a language, always being able to communicate in everyday's life. That's also important. If you're able to communicate in everyday's life, when you're in the street, when you want a cup of coffee or tea, when you want to catch a cab, a taxi, when you want to buy a paper or all kind of food, this is important. It starts with everyday's life. So in Africa, and especially with you guys, because I know most of you are based in Nigeria, by French-speaking countries, Niger, Chad, Benin, and Cameroon. So obviously, I said Cameroon, but Cameroon is bilingual. So that's important. That's important to add a language to English, to your mother tongue, because I know you guys, you can add other language, which makes you richer than me, because I don't speak, let's say, a language spoken in France other than French. And yeah, everyday's life, you must practice it. And then when I was in South Africa and I was, interacting with clubs and players and officials from the South African Football Association, or with coaches, definitely, you must be able to exchange, to understand. Even if your English or if your French is not perfect, you must be able to have this interaction. So I really want you to understand that. I don't know how many of you are able to speak like in French or Spanish or Arabic. And I know by experience, because I've been in this industry for now about 3 decades, that even if you only speak few words of French or Spanish or Arabic, Italian, anything, it helps in the relationship. It helps creating this link of life with the people. So I'm sure you will agree with me, and this is something that I can witness, because when I go to Egypt or Morocco or Tunisia, then I will use, even Sudan, I will use some words. I will say Salamu alaikum, and I would ask them. I know some words also from football. The words in football in Arabic. That's important. When you listen to the television speaking Arabic, it helps. I've started learning Arabic because I think it's also one of the important languages in the world and in Africa. And yeah, French, English, Portuguese, it helps. When you go to Angola or Mozambique, few words to Greek people, you know, it's always a plus. And to give you another memory from the time His Excellency George Weah was with Paris Saint-Germain. I used to do interviews of George only in English. Most of the people would come to him and say, and would request interviews in French. Every day he had the daily newspapers coming to him, asking him the very same questions. When he would meet me, he knew we would talk about Liberia, about the Lone Star, about everything that he was doing for the national team. Remember at that time, the country was at war. So I was coming to him, and France Football, I was working for France Football for about 30 years. And we had the African Ballon d'Or until 1994. And George eventually won the last edition. So I went to his place, I was discussing, and it was in English. Or I went to the training session, and it was in English. And I could see, I could sense, I could feel you would appreciate that I would, you know, I would go and start in English instead of French. That was easier for him. And it would be maybe the only time in his day, apart from when he's home, and he would use, you know, English American, because Liberians speak more kind of American English. But yeah, and this is always what I would do when I go somewhere. I make sure I will exchange and mix with my colleagues, and I would learn some other words. And I know some words that you guys in Nigeria use, you know, and that's very interesting. This is what makes the language so rich and the exchange so rich. The same for us in France. So if you have not started learning a foreign language, you should start now. If it's French, it's good, because I was telling you, you're surrounded by Francophone countries. And otherwise, Arabic, Chinese, well, Chinese is not that important in football, but Portuguese also, it's interesting if you want to travel. If you go to Europe, English is good, but not enough to me, I think. Spanish, if you want to work with the South American and Spain, definitely. Even Americas, 50% of Americans now, they are speaking Spanish. So to make things better, to make you richer in terms of experience, and to make you able to read, to listen, and to get that specific information, yeah, that is for me a key to have a language, one or two or even three. I learned Italian, but Italian is only spoken in Italy. I learned German, but apart from a few countries, Austria, a bit of Switzerland, and Germany, I wouldn't use it too much. Even if I go to Namibia, I would go in English. So yeah, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic. And I'm sure if you go through newspapers or websites every day, every morning, sometimes you can feel frustrated. But if you have learned a bit, if you got, you know, basic words, it helps you. And we are always, as media people, we are always in the process of learning. This is something I'm sure that you have already heard from my colleagues before. But yeah, you must learn, still learning, improving yourself, even trying to translate. Of course, you got Google Translate, but it's not enough. You need to be able, you know, to communicate. If you want to talk to me in French, I would be very pleased. I'll make it in English for you, no problem. But yeah, if you learn something and you go to someone in his mother tongue, it's always a pleasure. I would also add something, because very recently, well, I used to be a writer, a sports writer, writing for print and digital. I'm still doing radio program, but mostly in French. I also do commentaries for games, but I don't feel confident enough, to comment in English. So I would do it. Preferably, I will do it in French, but better than English. But if I have to, I would try, because I know the words. But I remember what my brother Maglisen told you last week. This is something very specific. The language of the commentaries, the speed, the rhythm of it is so different. So I can have a conversation, I can do an interview, I can conduct an interview, and I did many interviews with former Super Eagles players, in English. But the commentary is another exercise, so specific, so different. So I wouldn't risk myself doing a commentary in English. I would do it in French, because this is my mother tongue, and I know I must first improve my commentaries in French before trying in another language. This is what I wanted to tell you about this thing of being multilingual. And I'm sure that you know how important it is. I'm sure during your studies, you have been told about this. But in our business, if you want to be important, being able to go everywhere and make yourself understand from the bigger the bigger crowd, it's better to have Arabic and English and French, possibly Spanish. Then you'll be okay, and you can work for many radios or TVs or publications. But it's difficult to be 100% in every language, but you can reach a certain standard and maintain it while doing interviews and talking with people in this language. This is what I've been trying to do, because it's also a question of environment. My environment is 100% French. So whenever I have this opportunity to do it, to try in English, I will do it, but it's not my mother tongue, and you can hear it, So you can just take this advantage of meeting people from other countries with other languages, even languages that are just spoken by one country, and learn and exchange and make yourself richer in experience. It's fantastic when you cover competition and you meet with other colleagues and you can exchange and give them some words in their mother tongues. They will give you back, And this is something, it's not money, but it makes you richer and makes you better. You feel better because you're able to establish that link, a very personal link. And I wish you have understood this point. Very, very interesting. If you have any questions, please shoot. No problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Frank Simon. I will have coordinated the Q&A, but I don't love doing that. I love to build leaders. So I'm going to select a class captain right now. I'll do that randomly. Bumi, you're the class captain. Go ahead. Is Bumi there? Bumi has developed cold feet, so I'm going to select another captain. If your audio is not good, let me know. John Peters, you're the class captain. John.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for this privilege.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I want to say thank you to our lecturer for this wonderful lecture, this moment. All right, for all of us that are here, we've listened to him, we've heard what he said. We want to ask anybody that is available to ask any question, please. We know the rules. Can we please raise our hands? Turn by turn, we'll be given that chance, and then we are good to go with our questions. Thank you. Yeah, we are still waiting for the hands to be raised. Number one is Fortune Bestman. Okay, Fortune, you have the floor right now. Go ahead.
No, hold on. Fortune doesn't have the floor yet. Fortune doesn't have the floor. Mr. Simon, my apologies. Let me just say this very quickly. I want to say this in front of the lecturer because I want us all to learn. The flyer for this class was put up yesterday. So you had, what, approximately 12, 16 hours to prepare for this class. Look up the lecturer, look up the topic, and do your research. And like I'll always say, if we don't have questions, for the lecturer, it means that we're not taking the class seriously. And I'm very, very disappointed. Mr. Seymour is an extremely busy person. He's left all he's doing. He's here to impart knowledge and hand down invaluable insight. And I'm absolutely disappointed that only one person has a question. Let's hear from the person who has a question and hope that we have questions from others.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Fortune Bestman, you can go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Frank.
Good afternoon, Fortune.
I want to ask, how do you cope with your job and also learning different languages, joining with your jobs? How do you cope with that? Time and strength and results. How do you cope with it?
Can you say it again, because I didn't hear you properly. The sound was not good.
Okay, sorry, hold on. Just mute your mic. I got what you were saying. Just mute your mic. And let me say, Mr. Simon, I'm going to ask this question on his behalf very shortly. Right. Please, if you know you're in a noisy area, you can use the chat box and send your question. The class captains always be vigilant, look at the chat icon all the time. If you've got a question and you know that there are issues with your network or your microphone, do not ask via the mic area. Go to the chat session. Mr. Simon, he was asking how you cope in learning different languages while combining it with your job. How do you combine your job with learning different languages, being multilingual at the same time?
Okay, thank you, Fortune, for the questions. Thank you, Sami. Yeah, actually, I started learning while I was at school, when I was at the secondary school. As I was mentioning, I've started with English. English was the first foreign language from the age of 11. And then later on, I did German and Italian. I'm from Italian roots. So it was easier for me, as you can imagine. But as a professional, it was very complicated for me to find, proper time to learn a foreign language. I've started 2 years ago learning Arabic. I should have started long time before. It's very interesting, learning, the writing and how we pronounce things. And I know it would add something to me. It would bring something to me very interesting. But I had to stop for, as you can imagine, for professional reason. I was so busy. It was difficult for me to cope with classes and the rhythm of learning every time, but every week. But I really regret I had to stop on my way, because I loved it, and I could feel it would bring something to my knowledge of not the culture, because obviously in France we are surrounded by North African people. My best friend is from Algeria, and we exchange so much about Algeria and the culture and the history, because the history of Algeria is mixed with our history in France. You know that we invaded Algeria actually, and they had to free themselves from the colonialism. And so this is two countries that like brothers fighting each other, but he's my brother. And I learned so much. So he was also giving me tips, you know, in Arabic, because Arabic, let's say the classic Arabic is not the Arabic spoken in Algeria. Well, but for the rest, yeah, it's difficult once you're in the process of working, you know, being busy as we can be. It's difficult to learn another language. So do it while you are able to do it. When you're out, when you start working, then it's difficult. What can help is that when you move to another country to establish yourself as a correspondent, for instance, and this is what happened to me when I went to South Africa in 1992. My English level was really, really bad. I had very bad results in English when I was at school. I was fluent in German and Italian, but in English it was a disaster. But while I went to South Africa to work, I had no choice. I was telling you why. In everyday's life, you need to make efforts to make yourself understand by people in the street. And then because I was in this industry of football, I had to make myself understand from the actors, players, officials, referees, coach, and so forth. So yeah, do it before, definitely do it before, unless you go to a country and you learn while you are in this country. Or there's another possibility. If your boyfriend or girlfriend is from this other country, and then obviously it will help you so much in the communication. You can help in your language, and your companion can help you in the other language.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That was brilliant enough. We take another question from Kelvin Wilson, please. You have the floor. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Kelvin.
It's a privilege to be on your class. Thanks. So my question is this, sir. Have you had any challenge communicating to a particular individual or to a country or in a country where you travel to? So when was that, and how did you deal with that?
Yes, I had it was a challenge for me in one particular country, and you will understand why I wanted to learn Arabic after that. Back in 2010, I went to the West Bank in Palestine for France Football. I was telling you I've been working for France Football between 1991 and 2021. So I went to Palestine to do a report on the state of football, but in the West Bank. I was not able to travel to Gaza. And you know, I wanted so much to communicate with the players and the coaches, but very few of them would be able to speak English. I was lucky because at that time, Palestine, they had, as a national coach, they had a French Algerian coach, and the assistant coach, the French Algerian coach, wouldn't speak Arabic actually. But the assistant coach, who was an Algerian, spoke fluently Arabic. Eventually, in the years later, he became the national coach of Palestine. He's such a brilliant people. Now he's the coach of the under-23 of Algeria. It's called Nordin Ouldali. And Nordin was assisting me every day. In the morning, he was there at the hotel, helping me with people. Well, the hotel is different because people, they understand, obviously, you want a coffee, you want tea, you want bread, no problem. Ma fish mushkila, as they say. But when, you know, you have to ask specific questions, you know, about how they develop the club, what are the problems they face, and so forth. You need someone to help you and do the translation. I was lucky that someone was there with me. Otherwise, it would have been impossible, you know, to write my proper my report. And Nordin was so important in this process of translating, and he's so friendly. People loved him because he's Algerian. Palestinians, they love Algerian. It's like that. So they would be so happy. Yeah, it's for publication in France, the biggest publication that will present the Golden Ball Award, and we'll do 4 full pages about Palestinian football. They were surprised. So yeah, they welcomed me very well. They were so friendly, and I know that Nordin did a lot for this result. Yeah. Otherwise, I would say I went to many English-speaking countries in Africa, because I've not mentioned it, but I think Sami said it before. I've been covering African football for 30 years. I was passionate about African football when I was a young boy. So yeah, when I started learning about English, I knew it would help me, you know, maybe reading publications. And when I went to Zimbabwe, or I went to Ghana, I went to countries like that. I went to South Africa. I was based in South Africa. Obviously, I had no problem, because if I don't understand something, I would ask someone to repeat. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not Zambian, or I'm not Zimbabwean, I'm not South African. Can you just repeat, make it clearer for me? That's all. With a smile, it goes, you know, it goes on. So yeah, Palestine, for me, my biggest memories, my favorite report actually in 30 years of work. It was a challenge, but I really loved it.
That's appreciated, sir. Thanks a lot for that answer. We take the next question. After this very question, we'll go to the chat box for other questions. Braille Ejaku, please take over.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Braille.
I want to ask a question. When you're learning a certain language and you reach to a certain point that you don't understand and you feel like you have to drop, what will you do?
We call that motivation. You know, if you really want, you know, to progress, to improve, to understand, be able to exchange, you cannot fail. You can just learn. It's true that sometimes it's difficult. I faced that when I was based in South Africa. At the end of the day, I was so tired. I had headaches, you know. They talk too fast for me. The accent is different from the Nigerian accent of the accent in Ghana. And yeah, it was difficult for me to adapt to this, you know. But still, you need to learn. So I would go to Mark, because at that time I was based at Mark Gleason's place for a few days, and I would ask him, Mark, can you help me with that? What didn't I understand? What were they trying to tell me, you know? And obviously he would laugh, you know, with his big voice and all, and he would tell me, yeah, Frank, no problem. This is what they wanted to ask you, or they wanted to tell you, you know, it's okay. And some words, you have in a small notebook and you put the words and the translation, if you know that maybe it will be difficult for you to remember it. But practice is the key. If you want to reach a certain level, you must practice, you must read, you must listen to the television in this language, and then it will help you. And read, you can read paper if you don't find print paper, because now I know it's difficult. Now most of the time it will be digital, it will be on the web. We'll go to publications in French or in Spanish or whatever, in Russian, anything you like that you want to learn, and it will help. But you need this relationship of, you know, discussing, talking, exchanging with someone in this language to help you reach another step. Yeah. But in any case, no, don't stop. Please continue. Keep on, you know, going. And even for me, at one stage, I know at one stage, maybe I stopped improving my English. So I decided, because I was not traveling a lot anymore, so I decided to read and listen to programs. I would listen to football games in this language. I'm part of WhatsApp group, so I can exchange in English with different kind of people, you know, officials and players and media, my colleagues, my brothers and sisters. So this is important.
That's brilliant, sir. Thank you. Okay, we now move over to the chat box to take 2 questions and then return to the main platform. Emeka Tonye has these 2 questions to ask. He said, "Good day, sir. These are my questions. How important is the accent when covering a news? And also, how best can one learn a different language?" Thank you, sir.
How important is the accent? It's difficult for me to say unless you guys would talk to me in my mother tongue. But to tell you something that I really like, especially for the Francophone in Africa, Francophone countries in Africa. First of all, with my experience, I'm able now just to, if I hear someone from a certain country, a Francophone country in Africa, I'm able to say, this person, this lady, or this gentleman comes from Congo, or DR Congo, or Côte d'Ivoire, or Senegal, all kind of accents. I love that. This is what makes the person so rich, your accent, your personality. This is what you're made of. Because obviously French or English is not your mother tongue. You have your own language, first of all, you know. And yeah, the accent, the question of the accent is not so important. If you got the vocabulary, I think you can still work, you know, on this. You can build on this. But if you got the perfect accent, then it's fantastic. But I know even me, I've been in Africa, I've been covering Africa for 30 years. I cannot pretend I'll never be able to say I'm a South African or a Nigerian or a Ghanaian, because I'm still, my accent brings people to the country I come from. I'm French. This is my country, so I'm proud of it, and I will keep it as long as you have the word. It's okay. Vocabulary is important. For the second question, I didn't really understand, so I prefer you. Can you make it again, please?
Okay. The second question says, how best can one learn a different language?
I don't understand. What do you want to? Yeah.
Yes, even
Mr. Simon, can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Hold on. Mr. Peters, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Can you hear me clearly? Am I breaking?
No, you are very clear, sir.
Brilliant. Before Mr. Simon comes in, who asked the question? Sorry.
Emeka Tonye.
Emeka, can you unmute your mic? Emeka, can you unmute your mic?
Okay, I'm here, sir.
Emeka,
Hello,
what was
Emeka.
your question, please?
My question was, how can one learn a new? How best can one learn a new language? As in, how can you learn a different language from yours?
Emeka, hold on. Emeka, Mr. Simon is not going to answer your question, and I don't want to do this privately anymore. I've said this in the past. You do a lot of research before the lecturer comes to class. Olisa, are you here? If Olisa is here, let him unmute his mic. Olisa, are you in class? I want everybody to learn from what I'm about to do now. Olisa, are you here? Disappointing that Olisa is not in the class. Now, I've said this time and time again. The best questions are the shortest questions. The best questions are the questions that are scripted. Now, our friend can't ask his question very clearly because his question is not scripted. He's trying to do off the cuff. And that way he's tying himself in a knot and making it difficult for his fellow students, the class captain, and the lecturer, because nobody can understand what he's trying to say, because he doesn't even understand what he's saying, because he did not take the time to research on what he wanted to talk about. So this should be like a lesson for everybody. Before you come to class, have your writing pads ready. Do your research even before the class commences. That way, you are familiar with everything that goes on in class, everything that the lecturer is talking about, and you're taking notes as the class is on. You're scripting your questions. So when it's time for you to ask your questions, you don't tie yourself in a knot and tie everybody in a knot and get everybody confused. So the lecturer is not going to answer that question because we don't even understand what he's trying to say. Kelvin Wilson, if you can hear me, can you unmute your mic?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Kelvin, have you asked your question or you want to ask it now?
I've asked and I want to ask again.
Brilliant. Hold on a second. Class captain, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Brilliant. Now let's let the person who wants to ask the next question go ahead. I'm handing the class over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for that correction. Okay, Kelvin, you can go ahead, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much once again. This question is this, sir. I have an interview to conduct with someone who doesn't understand English completely, not even in writing. Even if I put it into writing and give to the person to read, the person won't even understand what I am saying. So how do I deal with this kind of person to have this very important interview with this person?
That's a good question. It's a tricky situation. Conducting an interview with someone who doesn't understand. Does this person have someone that can make the translation on each side? Not on your side, but on each side. If this person have someone who can translate from English to his language, then it will help definitely. Sometimes, especially in this time of technology, everything is possible. You can have an interview, a meeting, a Zoom meeting like we do now, and you can organize it with the other person, and she can be assisted by someone who will do the translation from your questions to this person, and then the way back, so that the translator will help you with the reply, the answers from the other person. So this is what I would do. This is what we have been doing. This is what we're doing at France Football, because sometimes you interview someone in Russian, they don't speak English, they don't speak French, you don't speak Russian either. So you must find a way to cross. Someone must cross, the other person must cross, and then you join just in the middle. And if you have someone to help you cross this bridge, someone that make the bridge, then you will use this person. Sometimes it happens that this person wants to be paid as a translator. It can also happen. But if it's someone from an institution or from a club or anything, then sometimes they have people, who are multilingual, and that can help especially. Otherwise, you must find someone on your side to help and do the translation, and it can take a bit of time, but this is something that you must anticipate. You must find the proper person to do it, even if the person is not familiar with the type of questions or the business of the other person. It's okay, as long as she'll be able to translate this person. It's good in one way, and the way back for you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All right, we take the next one from Inem Abasi G. Please take over.
Hello, Mr. Frank.
Afternoon.
Yeah,
afternoon, Inem.
Yeah, enchanté.
Enchanté. Nice to meet with you.
Thanks, sir. So my question is, there is this sense of belonging when you and I are speaking the same language. Then you probably meet someone that doesn't speak the same language with you, and he can detect that you are not from his own side due to your tonation, and the person will tend not to trust you with some information, which will really help you in your interview and your publications. So how do you do this to gain the person's trust to release information to you?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, because if the person understands you're not from the same country and all, yeah, maybe you wouldn't have the same how can I say the same level of of discussion, but it's up to you to make it to break the ice, I would say, and try to make the person laugh and discuss, and you must make understand the other person you interview that you're on each side, that you're very interested, that you know about his life, about his career, about anything, to give some how can I put it in English? Just to give just some dates or some facts that make you reliable as an interviewer, And it happens to me because I went to someone, and a Nigerian, a Zambian, a Ghanaian, a South African. He didn't know about me. He knew I was a foreigner. But then when we start talking, we talk about the football league, the national team. We talk about other players. Now this person suddenly understand that I'm friend with another player who's a very close friend. So say, yeah, let's give this person a phone call because this person knows me. So let's say hi, And it depends if you do it on the phone or if you're physically with the other person doing the interview. But in any case, it's up to you. It's your personality. It's not only the quality of your questions in the interview. It's also the skills of the interviewer, how you can break the ice and make things happen, and then you'll have nice replies, nice answers. It happens to me many times. Sometimes it happens. It's fantastic when it happens because you feel that the person would open to you, and you're part of it well suddenly, and she release nice stuff, and a nice story and anecdotes and make your report or interview richer. Sometimes it wouldn't work. This is like that, but this is also part of the skills that you must work on, not only being able to, even if the person can see I'm struggling with some words, but I make efforts, After all, this person traveled maybe 5, 6, 7 hours, to meet with me, and the person is there, and I can feel the person enjoy, doing the interview with me. Then I must give something. I must release something, and this is also what I think when I come to someone. I say, I'm so glad, I'm so happy I've been able to meet you and do the interview. I wanted to meet you for so long, and I've been following this and that, blah, blah, blah. It's part of you. It's part of your experience. When you're young in the business of football and sport, obviously it's not easy, but after a while, you know how to break the ice, and it will work, And if the person I've seen you on television, or it can happen that the person saw you on television or saw you now thanks to Instagram or Twitter or anything. Okay, you're this person. All right. This also can help, but yeah, it can be a challenge, I know.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We now move over to the chat box where we still have some couple of questions. We have this one from Wilson Emmanuel, and his question goes, what are the biggest barriers that can cause a disinterest in learning a new language?
The barriers, I don't know if I've understood properly, but in work or in the process, in the learning process, I'm not sure. But Sometimes, you know, you want to learn, and maybe because you don't have enough time, or you don't have the means, the financial means to learn, because it costs you money, you know, to learn, then it can be a barrier. You want to learn because, you know, it will bring you something more, and you'll be different from the other colleague who doesn't speak this foreign language. So if you're not able to make it because of the lack of time, or because you're lazy, or because you don't have the money, then yeah, it's really a problem. Now, barriers when you meet with someone, you want to do a story, an interview, is maybe if you have not prepared enough the interview or the meeting. It's like for us today. You need to prepare, you know that you're gonna meet with someone, you need to know about his personal history, his career, and if you prepare enough, then if you cannot communicate properly, if you're just, you know, you don't have much vocabulary, it can go. I remember an interview I did at Real Madrid with one of their top striker. He was from Serbia, and but he would speak only Serbian and Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I don't speak Serbian. So I prepared something in Spanish with the help of colleague, and I had someone with me. I made understand the person that I'm going to be limited. I cannot interact properly because maybe there won't be another question to relaunch the conversation. I just have 15 or 20 questions, particular questions, and I would just read my paper. I would tape everything. I would record everything, but I knew that I would miss something because maybe there were some points in the conversation I should have relaunched. I would have been richer, but yeah, the barrier would be that I didn't have someone doing the proper translation, and then I would stick to my page with the questions, and this can be a big barrier. So always, if you feel that you just limited in a certain language, bring someone that can do the translation, someone that can be your help. You know, it's better.
Okay, sir. Please pardon me. I think in addition to that, to break the barrier, it's just about interest. If you don't have full interest in the language, you will not be able to proceed with it, because along the line, as you are going forward with it, you will meet a lot of brick walls. For instance, when you are learning French, you get to where they call conjugation of verbs, all those être, avoir, you know. Since it is a new language to you, if you don't understand it, and you see that it's really giving you a roadblock, it may
true
from continue. And so it's about determination, that you really want to get it, and if you determine so well, you'll just break the barriers, and then you'll continue with it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Determination, motivation. This is how I was able to learn a bit of English, a bit of Italian, a bit of German, you know, and a bit of Arabic. Otherwise, if you don't have this motivation within yourself, you go nowhere. You'll be stuck, you know, in this world of, you know, okay, English is good, but you want to explore something else. So you need motivation. Don't be lazy. Don't think you can't make it. You can make it. It's just a matter of time. And if you can be engaged in a class of, I would say, spoken language is better. Yeah, the learning, you know, is important. But if you start speaking, exchanging with someone live, that's much, much better.
Brilliant, sir. So we take the next one. The next.
No, hold on, John. Hi, John. John, a sec. Just before John takes the next question, I just want to add a few words. I've been following the class with intent. John, I want to say I'm very proud of you, and I hope everybody's following. I'm sure a lot of you know why I said I'm very proud of John. First things first, you notice that I picked randomly. I said I want John to act as class captain because he has been my student for over a year, and I know his antecedents. He's impressed me, and I want to say the same for all of you. The lecturer answered the question, and rather than John just going to ask the next student to ask his or her question, John goes on to develop on what the lecturer said, and the lecturer just agreed that what John said was absolutely spot on. That's what I want to see from everybody in the class. I want you all to be leaders. And just to digress slightly, John was able to do what he did because he looked at the flyer yesterday and he did his research. So he could not just act as the leader of the class, as a class captain, he was able to act as an auxiliary lecturer. He has shown leadership qualities. And that's what I say to all of you. You don't just sit back and say, oh, the lecturer is here. Let's hear from the lecturer. No, be a part of the class. Let the class pass through you. You cannot do that if you don't research. I've talked about that saying time and time again. You cannot give what you don't have. So, John, I'm very proud of you for being a reference point. And I want to challenge everybody here, all the students, take a leaf, borrow a leaf from John's page. Be a leader just like John. I want you to say, look, Mr. Sami said he's proud of me. It's very difficult for me to say I'm impressed with somebody. So if I say I'm impressed with you, it means you're doing something right. So work hard, do your research. We'll have more lectures coming through. Whenever the flyers are in class, start your research. What's the lecturer going to talk about? What's the kind of person the lecturer is? Go and research on the lecturer. Where has he worked previously? Where does he work presently? What are his antecedents? That way, you will very, very productively participate in the class. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for that commendation, sir. Okay, the next question in the chat box is from Olubumi Nasiru. Is it he or she? Says, good afternoon, sir. I'm curious about something. If you, as a sports journalist, can face difficulties due to language barriers, how do football players getting transferred to clubs outside their home countries cope? Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I say hello to Olubumi. Yeah, you know that when you know that there was a time it would be very, very, very complicated for a foreigner, especially coming from an English-speaking country, to come to France and play. Football is an international language, and obviously, if you cope well on the pitch, it can help. But outside of the pitch, this is life. Everyday's life. I mentioned everyday's life. Right now, the situation is different because in every club in my country, but I know in most of the big league, in the big leagues in Europe, they have teachers, they have a system, they have a process to help players, integration, to everyday's life, helping them to find a place to stay, a flat or a house. Help with, they have a family, a wife and kids, so to find a school and stuff and help with the administration stuff. So this is how it is now. If you're a player, if you're a Nigerian player who come to France with your wife and kids, and you see that the club already, they do everything so that you feel at home, they help you, then you will feel better in your mind and better in your legs. And if you're a defender, you'll be good defending. If you're a striker, you'll be scoring or maybe delivering assists, and this is how it works. They know how important it is. There was a time they would be interested, but they know how important it is to help. And not only in English, it can be in Portuguese, it can be with Arabic-speaking countries. Yeah, and I don't know for the other countries, but in the big leagues, they will help. Plus, never forget that, let's say for an African player reaching or coming to France, to the French league, most of the time they will be with other African players and they will help, There's a brotherhood that is there, you know. Okay, you're Cameroonian, I'm a Ghanaian, but we are brothers. We come from the same continent. We have something in common, the culture. We have many things in common. Okay, I will help you. I will help you. And this is how it worked with many big players. Also, it's up to the players to make, you know, efforts to take lessons. They take lessons, you know. Also, some of them, they wouldn't be very keen on coming to a certain country because, you know, it's going to be difficult to learn this language. So I would prefer to go to another country. But once again, football is an international language, so it's not that difficult, you know, to communicate. It's just your determination, as John Peters mentioned the word, and motivation that makes a lot. But if you want the person to be so happy, so to be there, you must also have the family, not only the player.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We return to the main hall now for questions before we now go back to the chat box. We call on Kenneth West to please unmute his mic and take the floor.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello, Kenneth. I think there is something wrong with your line.
Okay,
we can't hear you properly. We can't understand you, please.
John, the moment that happens, you tell the person to mute his mic and then you move on. So we don't waste the lecturer's time. We don't waste everybody else's time, please. Thank you very much. And if you know your mic isn't good enough, you know there are issues with your network, use the chat icon. We shouldn't repeat ourselves. John.
Thank you, sir. Please, Kenneth, you can send your question through the chat box, please. We go back to the chat box now and take this question from Wilson Emmanuel again. He says, how do you think journalists and media people can be best motivated to learn new and diverse languages? And in what way can this affect one's career?
I think I've already given some tips about this question. The fact that when you learn foreign language, it can help you, you know, in your career establishing somewhere. If you want to be a correspondent in a certain place, certain area of the world, if you learn this language and being based there, it's fantastic. It can help you so much. It can help you, you know, reaching heights. It's a personal motivation. Sometimes, if you work for a certain company, they would ask you, would you like to, or maybe you should learn this language because we would like to send you there, you know, and this is how it starts. Many of my colleagues in France, they have been sent to Spain, Italy, or Germany, and they had to learn. Maybe they learned while being there, or they learned before. And this is even one guy who does follow everything that is Portuguese speaking, which is Portugal players and Brazil. This person has learned Portuguese while he was in France. He's not always in France, but now he's fluent enough and he's able to do that work for the biggest sport paper in France, which is L'Équipe. And it's a plus. He's the only one actually in this with this I would call this power, because it's a power when you learn other language and you're able to exchange. So yeah, it can really affect positively your career. It cannot be negative, never, because learning, it's a positive progress, positive thing, you know. So it cannot affect you negatively. It's just a plus, a bonus in your career, and you should take it gladly if someone encourage you to learn, or if you by yourself decide one day I want to learn this, because you know sometimes it starts with because I like French French cinema, so I want to learn because I want to understand, because I'm not satisfied, you know, with the translation. It starts like that. It's the same, you know, people, they like, I don't know, Indian movies, you know, Bollywood style, or Korean, or Japanese, so they would learn. And it's just something that you must have there, and you decide one day you'll do it, and you go up till the end to learn, and that make you special, because you'll be different, because you'll have this that the other colleagues won't have.
Okay, sir. Please, sir, we will take two questions from two different persons. We'll jam them together. This one comes from Jennifer Ezekiel, who says, "Good day, sir. What are the challenges you face while coming up? What are the challenges you face while coming up?" We'll now jam that with this one that came in from Chibwez, Mr. Chibwez. He said, "Are some languages superior to others?" Thank you, sir.
I wouldn't say I don't know exactly if there's a language superior to. It's different, because one can feel his mother tongue is the best, you know. But then, as you all know, right now in our world, English is spoken everywhere. So is it superior to the rest? I wouldn't say, but one thing I know is that it helps when you have English. If you don't speak, it's a problem. When you meet people in my country who don't speak French, they will turn to you and they will ask you in English. So English is a plus. Yeah, Spanish is a plus. If you go in certain areas of the world, it will be Chinese. You know, French, it's not bad, because in many African countries it's spoken. It's spoken in North America, but I cannot say it's best. I cannot say it's superior. No. I think there are just maybe 5, 6, 8 languages that are spoken almost everywhere. And it's up to you to pick one or two and learn as far as you can. And it will help you. But I wouldn't do a classification, never. I wouldn't do a classification. But I remember when I was a young student that my teachers would tell me, please make efforts in English, because it will help you once you work. And it's true. I should have listened better.
Okay, so another one that said, what are the challenges you face while coming up?
While?
Coming up, growing up, what are the challenges that you face? Perhaps maybe while coming up as a sports journalist.
Exactly, that's what I wanted to say. Context is everything. He wasn't talking about his days as a young man per se. He was talking about his days as a young journalist. He is very established now, so he wanted to know. He wants Mr. Simon to share his stories about the challenges that he, Mr. Simon, faced before he got to the level that he is right now as a professional. Mr. Simon, did you get that clearly?
You mean it's different from the problem of languages? You mean challenges
challenges in your career?
All right. The biggest challenge is that when you start you start as a freelancer. When I started in the early 90s, it was end of 1989. I knew I wouldn't get a contract with a big sports media. I would have to struggle. It would be difficult for me. And this was the main challenge. I've been a freelancer until 1997. I was already working as a regular writer for France Football magazine, which was published at that time twice a week. Now it has become a monthly. But at that time, it were published twice a week. But still, I wouldn't get a contract. I would be paid. I would pay, week after week. And this was the main challenge. But I discovered that I had the freedom, to write and work for anybody wanted from me, which would be the radio, the BBC, the French, or the English one. That would be, I work for African Soccer magazine, the first version of it. under Emmanuel Moradas, that was in London. I worked for many publications, even in Asia. I worked for different French publications because I didn't have a contract. So the main thing is to do your job and to make a salary, out of it. And this is what happened. So what was the biggest challenge of my life? Getting a contract. At the end, it was okay because I was free, and I would multiplicate the contacts and the work here and there, I would be free to cover one thing. I would go to Germany to do a report, an interview with a Ghanaian player. And then the next day I would go back to France. I would do a story with a French club. Then the BBC French service would call me to do a story about George Weah, and then it would be another thing, this is how it works. So yeah, no contract, but free. Then when I got contracted by France Football, that was another situation, another thing. And this was different. I was not free anymore. I was supposed to write only for France Football, despite the fact that people would come to me and ask me to write on different topics. So, well, still I would ask authorization, green light from my boss. But I loved being free at that time. And now I'm free again because I've left this company. I've left France Football. But it was, it's a challenge again, being without a contract, being like every day you look for your bread. You look for your bread and you try to get the money from different companies, TV, radio, digital or print. They want you, they want your experience, they want your expertise, but this must be paid, especially in the Western world here, where the crisis strikes us very, very badly. And yeah, you have to work on it. So what was my challenge when I started has become my challenge again, which is 31 years later.
Okay, sir. I think we take this one. After this one, we take the very last one from the chat box. There are up to 3 questions here coming from Olubumi Nasiru. And the question says, aside language barriers, do you often face distrust from people whose cultures are different from yours? Do you sometimes mix languages? For instance, Portuguese and Spanish are very similar. And then the next question Olumumi asks, what language fascinates you the most? What language fascinates you the most? Thank you, sir.
Right now, I would start with the last question. Thank you to Olubumi for very interesting questions. I'm very fascinated by Arabic. Yeah, I think you have understood. I've mentioned it many times here because it also has its own, writing, the letters and the numbers and all. And I like Oriental music. I like Oriental culture. I like the movies and all. And I'm so fascinated. And it's a bit sad that I understand that at my age, at my late age, because I'm over 50 now. I wish I would have started much earlier learning Arabic because I'm fascinated. Coming to this question of mixing up languages, it's true that Portuguese and Spanish are very close, but I don't speak Spanish. I understand a bit of Portuguese, few words. I think it helps them, I'm lucky because also Portuguese is a strong Portuguese community in France, and most of them are bilingual. They are Francophone and Portuguese speaking. So even you go to Portugal, you go to a village or you go to a club, you will find someone speaking French because that person comes originally from France. We are lucky. But it's true that there are similarities between these languages, but it's always better to verify, to check. If you think you have understood, but you're not sure, this is the Portuguese word, this is a Spanish word, maybe it looks like it's the same, but maybe it doesn't mean the same. So better check, always check. Always, always check. And now about this question of distrust from people whose cultures are different from mine. It can happen. What can I do? What can I say? It can happen. I feel like I'm a world citizen. I feel I'm privileged as a media because I've been traveling and meeting with people, and I know, and I can see the different situations in Asia, in Africa, in Europe. I feel privileged, but at the same time, I tried and understand the cultures. My life, my personal life is about this. It's very important that you try and understand what it is about, the cultures from the other person. I told you my best friend comes from Algeria, Oriental, North African, with a very difficult personal story with France because of his family, you know, being tortured by the colonial forces of France. So obviously, I'm a Frenchman, but he's my best friend, and he won't reproach me what was done by my country during these years, you know. And I try to understand his culture. I try to understand. I'm so interested in the music. I'm so interested in the way they perceive the world, because in France, we always think the world is built around us. It's not true. We're just one little thing in the middle of the world. And this is how I feel. I'm just a little thing in the middle of the world. And I try to understand what it is about all around of me. Everyone has his own point of view. And there's not one point of view. Actually, there's a point of view depending on where you are. And you must try and understand the culture of the other people. You must try to exchange, to communicate, always, always, in any case, and break barriers and break walls of difference. You know, and as I was telling you, I didn't mention it. I didn't want to mention my personal life, but yeah, my wife comes from Africa. She's from Western Africa. So it's important for me to understand the culture in her country. And there are differences in the language. There are differences in the perception of the world. So I have to understand this. And this is a permanent exchange with her, you know, about the life, how I can feel the life and how she can feel the life, you know. And I think it makes you a richer, better person when you try to have this vision, not being, you know, not closed, you know. You don't want to see, don't want to listen. I always listen to the other person's opinion, and I always try to remember, okay, this person said that because it's part of the culture. So okay, maybe I will disagree, but I won't fight. I mean, I will just listen. Okay, I accept your opinion as different of mine. It's because maybe of your personal history, your culture, your many things. And this is so important in our, I think, in our time. Just being a tolerant person, and I try to be a tolerant person, and always, and in any case, it's difficult, but it's part of my values, and I want to share that with you. I hope that you will feel like that also. Okay, we are not from the same background, the same country, we don't have the same language, but let's try to share good values, positive values, and this is important. You listen to me, maybe you don't agree with me, but you listen to me and say, okay, this man, he says that because he has that experience, and this is, and it is acceptable, and I will accept also your point of view.
Thank you, sir. We take the very last question from the chat box and even in the main hall, and it's coming from Chibueze Nwoku. And the question says, what should we do to avoid pitfalls in the media industry?
Oh, that's complicated. You know that now the media industry, it has become very, very, very complicated. You know that even for the print market, it's dying. So you have to go to other fields. You must explore other fields, you know, which is, of course, the internet, the website, the digital. You must try and be like my brother Maglison said it last time, must be able to work in any kind of, any field, radio, digital, TV, must be able to do a bit of communication as well. Because the media industry is a complicated one. The market is not that big. The market for the young, for the people who aspire become media members, it's complicated. It's complicated probably in your country to find, you know, positions. It's complicated in my country. So yeah, you just have to rely on yourself and work hard and take advice also from your elders in your country. They can help you. They're supposed to help you actually. And when we are young, we don't think they will help. We always defy them. We think, okay, because they think, okay, maybe they want to take our position, but from my experience, I've always tried to help when we had young media, young people coming and trying to become journalists. I was trying to help, you know, in the rewriting of stories, exchanging about my experience and all. I know it's complicated. You always need advices and a guide, a kind of guide to help you take the proper road, the proper path. It's complicated. It takes time. You must be patient. You must be patient. I've been doing that job for now almost 32 years, and you must be patient. You must have the passion. If you're not passionate, then change your direction and do something else. But yeah, if you want to do that job, work again. Work hard, and you have, I think, right example who come here to do speeches for you, and you must just take them as guides, or they show you a light or a path for the future, which is, I know, very complicated. I'm also very worried about the young generation in my country. I know how difficult the media industry is. Now, almost everyone wants to be a media person. With just a phone, a smartphone, they think they can do journalism. It's not enough. You need to take courses. You need experience on the field. And you cannot improvise yourself. You cannot become journalist all of a sudden. You need to learn. Even at my age, I still learn. So that would be my final word.
Okay, sir. Sir, I don't know, even though we've said that was the last question, but another question just flew in now. I don't know if you will be chance to take it or we draw the curtain from here.
Pardon?
Sorry, sir. I said that though I've earlier mentioned that the very last question was the last one, but while you were giving us answers, one question flew into the chat box.
All right, I will take the last one, no problem. And then I'll come back, and then I'll come back to my everyday life of a media man in France.
Thank you very much, sir. And the question is coming from Kenneth West, and he said, I've observed that football coaches prefer to sign players from their own country more than other countries. Is it as a result of language?
Oh, Kenneth, don't be that naive. You know that coaches work with agents, maybe agents from their own countries. So obviously they would recommend players that they know, okay? Maybe that agent is close to the coach, so he will recommend this and this and this player who are part of his system, or this player who can be a foreigner, but who's close to the agent. So this is how it works also in this business. It's not a question of language, because now you can see coaches from almost every part of the world going everywhere. Unfortunately, and that will be this time my final word, unfortunately, our clubs in Europe, in Western Europe especially, they don't trust the experience of African coaches or professional players turned coaches. Not enough. This is not enough. This is a problem. This is something that we discuss from time to time here. But yeah, this is a problem. So you guys, you will accept coaches from our countries, but without African experience. But when an African coach who was a great player in Europe, who's a Nigerian or Ghanaian or Cameroonian, wants to coach in our countries, then suddenly there's a war. This is unacceptable, if you want my advice.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's the last question for today. And
thank you.
I want to appreciate you for your time and for these wonderful lectures of this day. Kenneth, please, we have drawn the curtain from here for now. So unless you have any other thing to tell us, otherwise, I will say merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Okay, before you say merci beaucoup, thank you very much, John Peters. Great work from you. Mr. Simon, thank you very much for what you did
merci,
today.
Sami. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for what you did. I know how busy you are. Yeah, I know the time differences in our respective countries, but you went the extra mile.
I'm ahead of you, just 1 hour
Absolutely.
ahead.
And we will always be behind you. We can't catch up with you. Thank you very much for what you did today. We greatly appreciate you. We'll put up a post on social media where our students will appreciate you, follow you on Twitter, so they can also be learning from you on social media. So on behalf of the students, thank you very much for everything you did today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Sami. Have a good afternoon. Thank you very much to all of you. Bye.
Okay, while Mr. Seymour leaves us, I want to say a few words to all of us. Mr. Seymour, once again, thank you very much. Our next class is going to commence in a few moments' time, 5 p.m. So that's just over 2.25 hours from now. I'm going to say again, I was disappointed by certain things I noticed in the class. For me to make corrections even when the lecturer is in class is a crime. Contextually, I should never make corrections when an Oyibo man, no be one of us, so to speak. Right? You guys make me come and embarrass myself. I don't understand why we cannot do our research, why we cannot script our questions. And somebody was, I think it was the last person who asked the question. That wasn't the question. And the lecturer said, don't be naive. When somebody who is not English says, don't be naive, that's to tell you how, for lack of a better word, how disgusted he was with the question. Because it wasn't really a question. It was somebody who had already formed an opinion. We're here to learn. But when you've already formed an opinion, what do you want the lecturer to say? He's a very nice man, the lecturer. I wouldn't have answered that question. It wasn't a question. When you say coaches don't sign players from their country, who told you that? Who told you that? You're not asking a question. You're forming an opinion. You don't do that in fora like this. When you say, where was that empirically proven? Proven by who? We shouldn't say things like that. This is not a beer parlor where we just, say stuff. And then another thing I noticed, somebody actually asked a question when the lecturer had said that would be all, so to speak. Somebody went ahead to ask a question. But now I'm not just going to blame that person. I'm actually going to blame the class captain for that. I commended him for good job done, but I'm going to blame the class captain for continuing after the lecturer had closed the session. The lecturer is a very nice man. Me, I'm not a nice man. No. If it was me, I wouldn't answer. I've ended the class and that's it. Now, there's something known as editorial judgment. Editorial judgment. I'm going to tell you guys, I'll make it short. I'll tell you a true life story and link it to why I feel so strongly about what happened when the lecturer ends the class and then the class captain is asking the lecturer if they should. What do you want him to say?
The lecturer has said that's it, and that's it. I talk about judgment, editorial judgment. Now I'll tell you guys a true life story so that you don't forget this and liken it to this thing that happened. Who knows the story involving Cleopatra Tao, Clem Ofoku, David Obi, and Silverbird Reading 93.7? I'm in a good mood. Let me dash somebody something now. Maybe it's money I'll give. I have dollars in my pocket. Maybe I'll give somebody. If you know the answer to this thing, let me see your hands up so that you tell us the story. I want to see the person who can tell me the story. I repeat again, who can tell me the story involving Cleopatra Tao, David Obi, Clem Ofoku, and Silverbird's Reading 93.7? Who knows the story? John, can you hear me? John, are you there? Can anybody
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you, sir.
John, do you know the story?
Sir, I don't know the story, sir.
Me, I don't sugarcoat my words, so. When, I commended you in the class. I commended you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm also going to say now that I'm disappointed in you that you don't know this story. Because we shared this story in season 5 of The Next Media Star, and you were one of the best students in that season. And now let me say this so that all of you will hear. You see this training I'm doing here. Let me tell you so that you raise. This is the 6th season. We do this once every year. This is by far the fewest. John, tell me, how many students did we have last year?
So we had up to 60 students last year.
No, it wasn't 60. It was well over 100. I will share the pictures. It was well over 100 students that we had. A lot of them were not even, they came from outside Port Harcourt. They came here, rented houses to be part of this training. See this season I have, this set of students I have, there have been 1 or 2 exceptions, but predominantly this is the worst, I repeat, the worst set of students I've had. Because I'm looking at the majority. I'm saying this not because I want to put you down. I'm saying this because I want to challenge all of you. I've had over 1,000 students since I started mentoring and lecturing students. This set, you people are the worst that I've had, the worst. Because I'm looking at the majority, so I'm going to generalize. So I'm challenging all of you to raise your game that a lecturer will come to class before his student. It is a taboo as far as what we do is concerned. I've said this a billion times. I don't have anything to prove to anybody as far as what we do is concerned. John, unmute your mic. I want to ask you a question. John, please unmute your mic.
Sir, it's on.
John, can you hear me? John, are you aware that today is my birthday?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am.
I'm not supposed. Today, I'm supposed to take it easy. Now I'm supposed to have fun. But I say no. You people are my priority. Please hold on a second. Hold on a second.
I'm even surprised. I'm even surprised that you are following us on.
Are you actually surprised, knowing the kind of person I am, John? Are you surprised that I'm here, knowing the kind of person I am? John is not answering me. Knowing me as well as you know me, are you surprised that I'm here?
Sir, I'm not really surprised, but at least I expected that maybe the first 2 lectures that you would have taken a time off, and then, because I know that definitely you will be on with us. But for you to be words to words with us, that's what surprises me.
Okay, John, please, you should hold on. There's somebody in my house. Just give me 1 minute. Let me just speak to the person, please. Hello? I'm sorry, everybody. I had to attend to somebody in my house. So
I know a lot of you are surprised. Why am I still in my house? My trip has been postponed till tomorrow, so I'm leaving tomorrow. I shouldn't tell you people this, but you're my family. John, please confirm that you can hear me. Let's round up and then prepare for the next class.
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir.
Brilliant. So I assume everybody else can hear me. Now, around 2005, I'm not sure, between 2005 and 2007, I need to check. Something indelible in the sands of time of Rivers State, as far as the media industry, politics, and leadership is concerned, played out in Rivers State. What played out? At that time, there were just a handful of radio stations in Rivers State. Silverbirds reading 93.7, Ray Power 106.5. They had Ray Power 100.5 at the time, but it was Ray Power 106.5, everybody knew. And there was Radio Rivers in Port Harcourt. I think Treasure FM was just there or thereabout, but Ray Power, Rhythm, and Radio Rivers were the key stations. Of course, Radio Rivers is a station owned and controlled by the River State government. So objectivity is not always on the front burner when you talk about Radio Rivers. But objectivity, hard-hitting news, dispassionate stories, they were on the front burner when the other stations, Ray Power, AIT, and especially Rhythm were concerned. Rhythm was like a breath of fresh air in River State at the time. The station manager, you people will see him before the end of the training, Samson Fibresima, an absolute legend in what we do. He was a business manager at the time. And then they had Lochnan Dombin, who was the head of presentation. They had Naftali Tokwe Brown. Naftali Tokwe Brown, no disrespect to anybody, the most gifted African broadcaster I ever shared a studio with. He was way ahead of his time, a force of nature. I've never experienced anything like Tokwe Brown before now. He's late, God rest his soul. There was Henry Kalio. There was Jennifer Netima. The news department was fantastic. At that time, Naftali Tokwe Brown, Shego Wolabi. Shego was more like an intern. This Shego Wolabi you hear about today was like an intern at Silverbird at the time. Charles Scarlo. They were the people in the news department whose job had to do with delivery. When I say delivery, those who read the news. But those who sourced the news were people like Charles Scarlo. He read the news sometimes, had a great voice, but he was the head of news. There was David Obi, who was assistant head of news. There was Clem Ofoku, who was the number 3 in command. And there was some other person, Felix Banako, Christopher Ngozi. I think some of them are still there. Now, I'm taking my time to outline this because I'm talking about something that will be talked about in the media, political, and leadership space forever. Now, what happened? At that time, Silverbird Reading, like I said, they were so hard-hitting, they were so strong, they were so dispassionate. The governor of Rivers State at the time was His Excellency Peter Otunaya Odili. Peter Odili was not a big fan of Silverbird. Why? Because at that time, it seemed to the PDP, to the leadership of Rivers State, that Reading 93.7 was anti-PDP, that they would always talk about news that didn't favor the government, the ruling party. I'm sure some of our lecturers have told us that if a dog bites a man, it is not news. But when a man bites a dog, it is unusual. It has great news content. Silverbird Reading 93.7 understand that key quality. They took the city by storm. How did they do it? They had impregnable news content delivery. They would never sing the praises of the government. No. They would instead look at the unusual, the things that were wrong in the government, the things that were going wrong in the state, and they will put it out in the public eye. Now, from a dispassionate perspective, yes, I was working there at the time, but hindsight is a beautiful thing. Now, from a dispassionate perspective, Rhythm weren't actually doing anything wrong. They were actually carrying out their job in line with global best practices, which was alien to what people in these parts were used to, because they're only used to the national network news, which was obviously controlled by the federal government. So what do they say? He who pays the piper dictates the tune. They were also used to what was disseminated by the River State Broadcasting Corporation, owners of Radio Rivers. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. Radio Rivers owned by the government. You cannot go and say something bad about your Oga. Silverbird did not do that. They were a private company, private organization owned by Ben Murray Bruce. They didn't give a damn about anybody. The government didn't like that. That's it for that background. Now, to the story of the day. I was in Bauchi, went to cover a match between Wiki Tourists and Dolphins of Port Harcourt. And then a call came through to us that one of our colleagues, Cleopatra Tao, she's late, God rest her soul, that she had been arrested alongside Clem Ofoku, who was the number 3 man in the newsroom. They were arrested on a Sunday. Now, on Sundays,
the newsroom worked at half strength. So those other big people I mentioned, they didn't come to work on Sundays. What happened? Cleopatra Tao had a shift. She was like a normal OAP, just like Honey Ojuku, who lectures by 5. She had a Sunday show, but then that Sunday show ended just before 6 p.m. The news at Silverbird took center stage from 6 p.m. So the OAP on duty automatically read the news at 6. Remember, those stories about editorial judgment. I'll come back to that again. So they said, Sammy, Cleo has been arrested. Clem has been arrested. They were taken to prison, Port Harcourt prison. And that the orders to arrest them and throw them in prison came from the executive governor of Rivers State at the time, Peter Otunaya Odili. Now, I give clearance to everybody to unmute his or her mic because I want to ask a question. I'll throw it to the floor. Who knows why those people, Clem and Cleo, were arrested and thrown in prison, even without any judge pronouncing them guilty? Who knows the story? Unbelievable.
Sir, I do.
Good. What's your name? Is this Victoria?
Yes, sir.
Victoria, you are the conglomeration of my convoluted, involuted hallucination. I love you very much, Vicky. Vicky, talk to me.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir. They were arrested for airing a news about a fabricated bridge falling. Something like that.
There is nothing like a news. There's nothing like that. You say a news story, a news story, a news item. You can say, I heard it over the news. You can say, this is news. But you do not put a qualifier before that without adding something afterward. There's nothing like a news. Eh?
Yes, sir.
Don't mind me, I love Igbo people. My wife is Igbo, so Igbo people are great. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before I take over?
Okay, sir. Nothing. The story, I really did not get it clearly, though it's been a while. I remember someone telling me about it before this time.
Okay. Are you up to 30 years old?
No, I'm not. I'm 27.
27. So you're too young for that. You probably, but you know what you're talking about. You can mute your mic. Victoria is right. Yes, a new story was heard. A story that please with that, can you mute your mic? Thank you very much. Please, thank you, mute your mic. Okay. A new story which was not confirmed, Victoria used the word fabricated, was aired on Silverbird Rhythm. And see, there's something about the news, there's something about the spoken word. The moment it is uttered, you cannot call it back. You can't. So look, you must be extremely careful before you go into the studio, put on the microphone and say anything, because any word that sorry. Please, John, unmute your mic and confirm you can hear me.
Yes, sir, I can hear you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Okay, today is my birthday, so I'm getting a lot of calls from people who want to wish me happy birthday. I had to tell the person calling me, he kept repeating not to call again, so I apologize for that. John, confirm that you can still hear me.
I can, sir.
Brilliant. I was saying, whenever anything comes out of your mouth, you cannot call it back. So you need to be extremely careful. Now, contextually, Clem and Cleo were not careful enough, so they got thrown into prison. What happened? Like Victoria said, it was about the Choba Bridge. Not this new one. There's another one. If you're going to Bayelsa, the one on the right, there's one. I don't know if it's still there. Not this one. This one now that you see on the left is newly constructed. The talk at the time was that the bridge gave way and it had collapsed. That is news. If a bridge collapses, it is huge news. That is news. That's a radio station that understands what they're talking about. However, I think it was 2-3 seasons ago, a lady from the BBC World Service, Nishat Lada, Peter Koche from the BBC was with us. They said to us, Look, we are not in a hurry as the BBC World Service to break the news. We're more concerned about accuracy. I'm going to put up a video, but please, John, after the class, remind me to put up Nishat's video when she talked about the need to take the time to confirm, check, and cross-check again. I repeat for emphasis, Nishat Lada works with the BBC, senior reporter. She's been there for over 30 years. Nishat Lada said, to paraphrase, I want to check, cross-check, and cross-check again before going to print. Just to paraphrase. John, remind me to post that video after the class. These are our friends, Clem and Cleo. They didn't confirm. They went and reported that Choba Bridge had crumbled, had collapsed. Now, the news story, a lot of you who are not familiar with radio may not understand how it works. I'll break it down for you. The newscaster, in this case, Cleo, was not the person who came up with that news. No, she was just an OAP who was doing her thing on air. I apologize again. I apologize. I got another call. John, please, can you confirm you can hear me? Hello, John.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Fantastic. I apologize. I got another call. Okay, so I was saying, this is how it works. Cleopatra Tao is in the studio, and then just before 6, Clem Ofoku walks from the newsroom, which is in the 2nd floor, walks down to the 1st floor, and takes what we call a bulletin. A bulletin is a collection of news stories. You have the hard stories, the soft news, hard news, you have entertainment news, you have political news, you have sports news stories, you have the oddities, you have the weather forecast, depending on the house style of the radio station. It's called the bulletin. The collection, the integration of all of those stories in one document is called the bulletin. That's what you hear. Hi, my name is this. You're listening to Nigeria Info. It's time for the news. That news is a collection of documents. They take it together page by page. It forms a bulletin. Now, in this case, Clem takes the bulletin, walks into the radio studio, and hands it over to Cleo. Cleo's job is to read what is in that bulletin. She read what was there, that Choba Bridge had collapsed. And then Governor Dili heard about it. They checked and saw that the bridge had not collapsed. You have disseminated wrong news. The governor of the state, his duty, his job, one of them, is to secure lives and property. So if you want to create panic in the land, you can make people lose their lives. The chief executive will not let that happen. He has the power to order for your arrest if you do things like that. So the governor was well within his rights to ask the DSS, move to number 10 Forces Avenue, pick up Cleo and Clem, have them in handcuffs and take them to prison, pending when the trial was held. And that was exactly what played out. Now, back to editorial judgment. Cleopatra Tao didn't write the news. That particular news story was written by Clem Ofoku. But now this is the thing. The OAP, the newscaster, has unrivaled powers. Clem cannot go into the studio to read the news. The newscaster is the final editor. I will repeat for emphasis. The newscaster, the person that reads the news, that man, that woman that says, hello, good evening, welcome, Nigeria's #1 talk news and sports station, Nigeria Info. That person is an oga at the top. You cannot mess with that person. That person has the right to say, see this story, I no go read them. Editorial judgment. If the person looks at and say, look, Adura Tomi Bolade, one of our lecturers, he's going to lecture us before the end of this season. He was he's the best boss I've ever had on radio. And I've worked in every radio station, virtually every radio station in Rivers State. I've worked outside Port Harcourt. I've worked with some of the best broadcasters in the world. Adura Tomi Bolade, the best boss I've ever had on radio. He said to our students in one of the seasons, he said, as a broadcaster, as a journalist of repute, you must know a bit of everything. I repeat, you must know a bit of everything. So do not say, oh, my job is, I'm just the OAP now. There are people in the news, let them go and do their own and bring to me. Nobody should disturb me. No, you cannot say that. You can't say that. You are in the studio. You've got your systems in front of you. They are connected. The monitors are connected to the internet. You've got your smartphone. You must be in tune with all the stories. They bring story, tell you, say, Choba Bridge, don't collapse. You didn't confirm. You don't know whether it's true because Oga at the top brings it. You go ahead and read it. You go to prison like Cleopatra Tao did. Cleopatra Tao had the power to say, I will not read this news story. Clem cannot go into the studio to read it. That's not his job. His job is the news producer. So because she went ahead, didn't exercise the editorial judgment in that case, she went to prison. by the time the case was heard, I was in Bauchi when it happened. I was back in Port Harcourt. I was in court the day the case was finally sorted out. But the governor wanted to make a statement. He didn't like reading FM very much. He was waiting, set trap. They wait. They can't enter in trap. And he dealt with those people until today. 20 years later, we still talk about that particular story. Victoria didn't know about it, but they told her. That's why I said it is implanted in the sands of time. It will be talked about forever. Victoria didn't know about it, but people talk about it. A lot of you, okay, all of you here, apart from Victoria, nobody knew about this story, but you've heard about it today. Now, I link it to what happened. John Peters, you are like the newscaster. That person with the mic on, can you please mute your mic? Thank you very much. Can you mute your mic, please? Thank you. Do you want us to call a premature end to what we're doing? If the person doesn't mute his mic, we do that immediately, please. I'm not very nice like Mr. Simon. I'm a disciplinarian of the highest level, please. I play when I want to play. I am serious when I want to be. So, John Peters, you were the newscaster in this case. The lecturer don't end session. You know, agree. You want to do Cleopatra Tao. You are going against the lecturer. You have unbridled powers. You have unrivaled powers. I'm saying this because everybody here is a leader. Everybody here is a captain. Learn to take responsibility. Don't tell me that because another question had come. Now, I don't want trouble. Because Cleopatra didn't want trouble. She went to prison. Show leadership. When you're the class captain, you have to show that judgment, that ability, contextually, editorial judgment. Like they tell small pikin, say, carry your hand, go put for fire. Go put them. Say, because now person will be my guide. No, don't do that. I'll let us go. Let us prepare for the next class. Honey Ojuku is going to be with us from 5. And look, please, everybody unmute your mic. Everybody unmute your mic. Who knows if you know the answer, just go ahead and say it. If you're in a bad area, network bad, just mute make sure your mic is muted. But if you're in a quiet area, you can mute your mic. I want to ask a question. I'm throwing it open. Who knows the member of a former housemate of BB Niger that will be lecturing us? Who knows the name of that person?
Also.
Also is going to be teaching. Yes, there's a guy. Okay, you can mute your mics. Also is going to be teaching. There's a guy called Derek Ray. He's Scottish, but he lives in Germany. He's the voice you hear on FIFA, the FIFA games, the FIFA 22, FIFA 23. He's seen as the best commentator in the world, rivaling Peter Drury. He's going to be lecturing us. There's a gentleman known as Felix Awogu. He's the general manager of Multi-Choice in West Africa. He's going to be lecturing us. Who knows Ebuka? Please, if you know Ebuka Obi Uchendo, meet your mic.
The big brother Naija host.
Big brother Naija. Now that one she go like. Okay, see, everybody mute your mic. Look, I am going out of my way to do this thing for you guys. The least that I expect is application. When people like this come, look, these are not everyday people that you, maybe a lot of you don't even know who Frank Simon is. He's one of the best in what he does in the world. When these people lecture, they lecture thousands of people and they come to class and what, 17 people? No, come on. Look, even if we're not 1,000, I want to see the majority of people in the WhatsApp group in class. I'll keep repeating this thing. I don't have anything to prove to anybody as far as what we do is concerned. I'm not saying I don't learn. No, that's not what I learn every day. But I don't need to be in class. A lot of the things they talk about, I already know these things. But I'm in class. I listen. I'm a student. And these people will never know left from right. They don't want to come to class. And I said to myself, okay, let me say this. I didn't want to say this. Over 90% of people in that class, they didn't pay 1 kobo. Oh, Mr. Sami, you're supposed to pay through your nose for this thing, but they can't, I guess, soft mind. Oh, yeah, come. Oh, Mr. Sami, I don't have money. Yeah, come. So it's virtually free because the majority, they didn't pay 1 kobo. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'll stop doing this because a lot of Nigerians, the things they get for free, they take it for granted. I'm traveling out of the country tomorrow. I'm supposed to be sorting out everything I'm using to travel and all whatnot. But I keep those things aside. I'll be in the plane tomorrow. I'll be thinking of how are the lectures going? How is everything going? I'll be working in a foreign country. I'll be thinking how I'm organized already. And you guys are going to a radio station on Saturday. On Saturday, I will not be in Nigeria. But I've already made sure that you guys will be there. On Monday, I will not be in Nigeria. But the classes will hold. The least I expect you people to do for me, see, those of your friends that are not here, tell them, I've not spoken like this after a class before. No, tell them, I want to see seriousness. Yeah, you invest money, you invest time, you invest everything, and the people are not taking it seriously. In summary, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, please, Honey Ojuku go teach, make us speak pidgin so that everybody go understand me. Honey Ojuku go teach us 5 o'clock. Biko, Pasisi, I beg, my knee there for ground. She's talking about managing fame via the media. What is fame? What is management? What is the media? Context. What does it mean when you say you're trying to manage fame via the media? Who is Honey Ojuku? Where has she worked in the past? What awards has she won? A citation. It's 30 minutes. You don't do small thing on this now. Script your questions. Don't come and bring your opinion and force it on the lecturer and say it's a question. Are you asking a question you want to, somebody coming to tell lecturer, say, coaches, they don't sign players from their country. What nonsense is that? What rubbish? Are you coming to force an opinion on a lecturer? Are you here to learn? Ask a question. Don't assume what you don't know. Go and do your research and ask questions. I told you, the autobiography of the greatest British manager of all time, maybe the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. He said the best questions are the shortest questions. And those short questions are arrived about when the journalists, when those who ask the questions do a lot of research and they script their questions. When they make me, they repeat myself. I don't get headache. I go drink Panadol and paracetamol now. Please, you guys should make me proud. So that at the end of the day, I have a lot of students. Today, some of them are outside Nigeria. She didn't know anything. I picked that girl up over 10 years ago. Today, she's in Vigevano, in Italy. She's working with UEFA. I can go ahead and mention a lot of them. They didn't know anything. But because they put their foot down, they applied themselves. Today, they are reference pointing what they do. I don't talk finish. Does anybody want to ask me any question? Can we end this? John. John has run away.
Sir, John is here, sir. John is here, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, nobody has a question. All right, I'll see you guys in class by 5. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Nobody bought me a present. Shame on all of you. Shame on you.
Thank you, sir. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday, the boss. Happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday, sir.